started my journey over there.
So okay, and you kind of bounced around, if I remember correctly, for a year or two with some odd jobs before you actually started in real estate. And I remember you started out on a real estate team. You had to get your license, all that kind of stuff. This is like 2006, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
2005, I believe. I should have my license. Yeah.
And then you were on a team that didn't function all that well.
No.
So you decided you're gonna do it yourself. So you went out on your own the end of 2007. So you're like November 2007. So then 2008 was your first year selling real estate on your own in like your second, third year.
Yes, absolutely. So I was a buyer's agent and a team, but at the time, because the market was booming, this gentleman had just, John Keller Williams opened a team, but really just got a bunch of agents to work for him. I didn't know better, so I joined, and I sold 30 houses on my first year. On my second year, he actually went to China. I don't know what he was doing. The market crashed, and we were just getting phone calls from all the providers, charging money for the things he didn't pay. And I said, I can work here. I can do it. I'm going to go on my own. And I talked to, at the moment, one of the other top producers who was my boyfriend. And I said, let's go open our own team. I want to do this. I know this is going to work. And by October, we talked to the owner of the team, and then we decided we were going to go on our own. And November 2nd, we launched the Legacy Group.
And then your first year on your own, if I remember correctly, you sold like 120 homes, right?
Sold 120 homes in 2008. Which was when finally the market just hit ground in Spokane, and it was in theory just really bad, but we still sold 120 homes.
And I know what everybody's thinking here. How did she do that? What was her source of business? What end did she have? And they probably know that I wouldn't have you on here if you didn't do it the way you're supposed to. You were prospecting based that first year.
Absolutely, and we still are prospecting, but we have it in different. We focalize it differently, but at the beginning, what I did is my partner and I focused on prospecting for listings. And we started with about 20, but fairly quickly we got up to 46, and we maintained about 40 listings at any given time during that year. What I specifically did, it really dawned on me very quickly that I had to specialize and focus on one thing. So if I had to choose between buyers or sellers, I knew I got to work on sellers, and I had to have agents working with the buyers. So about 3 months into 2008, I stopped working with buyers, and I solely work with sellers. I will come in the office, do the office administration stuff for about an hour. I walk into the office at 6:30 or 7 in the morning, just so you know. I worked a lot of hours my first 2 or 3 years. And then I will prospect between 9 and 12. And then the rest of the afternoon, I will accompany you, go to my appointments, or help the buyer's agents with their appointments, with their presentations, help set up systems. And I'll be home by 10 p.m. I mean, it was very long days where I have to work in the business and on the business. So because I had to choose, I focused on prospecting for expires. So that's what I did mainly in 2008, just call expires for listings.
Right, and then, so do me a favor, walk up your production. You closed 208, or in 2008, you closed 120 homes.
120. In 2009, we closed 180. In 2010, we closed 246 or something like that. And then 2011 and 12, we actually closed 250 also. What I want you to hear, though, is like we didn't increase, but that's okay. We increased in volume, but what we really did is we solidified our systems. We had 3 years of really fast growth, and by the time we got to 250 transactions, the systems that we had to support 120 transactions could not support us for 250. So we really had to kind of keep the agents working, and me, I had to go into system mode, look at the systems, and just make sure that now we solidify the system for the next growth phase. And what we realized in 2012 is that we did the exact same amount of volume units sold in 2011, but I did it with half the amount of agents. We had 10 agents in 2011 and we had 5 in 2012, and we closed exactly the same amount of units, which led me to think that the systems are in place. The business itself, the machine that sells houses, is in place, and it's either with 10 agents, with 5, or with 20, but it gets to sell 250 homes a year.
Got it. Okay. What I heard in there was like 2 really big E2P moments where you prospected like mad and you worked long days, but you knew it wasn't forever. To kind of get the machine up and running. I mean, those first 2 years of just pumping it like you did and growing and bringing on staff members, that'll work you. But then you solidified and you rolled with that for a couple more years, and then it's okay. Now we got to revamp our systems again, which is no fun for someone like you or me. And you're out there getting those systems squared away by 2012, so you're ready to do what.
In 2012, understand that I actually also replaced myself. So I got to 7 level in 5 years. So I hired a manager. During 2012, I trained him for 6 months. Then I left Spokane. I moved 3,000 miles away to Miami. So in 2013, he was by himself running the business, and I was here coaching him on a weekly basis, and we closed 325 transactions. So it was fantastic because we finally broke 300, and not only we broke 300, we broke it without me being there doing the job.
Yeah, which is awesome. Yeah, which is awesome. And you're still in Miami.
I'm still in Miami. And then last year we closed 350. But let me tell you the best part of everything. This month, in March, I just got the numbers last night. My team sold 69 homes.
Wow.
In 1 month. I am just like, wow, it's fantastic. This year is gonna be awesome.
Now you're the operating principal. You're an owner of some Keller Williams offices in Miami. You got a new husband. You travel a lot.
Yeah.
I've seen that. I got you on Facebook, so I know you've been traveling. And then and that team's still closing that number per month, per year. It's actually getting better. And so you've got the right people in place.
Left sooner, I think.
Yeah, that's just amazing. So I want to talk, and so E2P moments all over the place. A lot of periods of uncomfortableness, like when you're first working those hours, when you revamp the systems, when you step away. That's not easy.
That was very scary. I took me about 14 months. I took my manager through Recruit Select through 12 months, and I took many people through Recruit Select, and I ended up making the right decision because I trust the process. And we met many times. We went over the ABA many times, and I gotta tell you, the Recruit Select process works because I also now have a fantastic team leader in my market center. And again, you follow the process, you take the system, and yes, once you hire them, you have to train them, but it wasn't as scary once I knew I had hired the right person to let go of my business and have him run it for me.
And that's why I think it's so neat. You've achieved this level in 7 full years, whether you know that or not. And that's that quick ability to get uncomfortable every single time. Every couple of years, you got uncomfortable. And that's it's that quick willingness to jump into chaos and not just ride on it that I think's and that's moving, boy. And I think what's so neat, what enabled you to do that is exactly what you said. You follow a model so you don't have to worry so much.
Right.
So I want to talk about that model you follow. Let's start. We discussed this yesterday when we were testing out this wonderful Google Hangout. Let's talk about your listing specialist first. You actually operate on the listing side of your business with a listing specialist, a listing manager, and an OSA.
Yes.
Why don't you describe that to him real quick?
Okay, great. And actually, let me tell you how kind of it evolved, because the one thing that I hear the most, I'm talking as a mega agent, 7 levels, so people think that I'm only talking to people that are on 7 levels or mega agents, and really, I went from being a listing agent to this point. So there is an evolution of the process, and I think the key is not necessarily, am I going to do it just like Claudia or like somebody else is. Listen for the little keys and cues to when you may be ready to evolve your current system to the next system. So I was a sole listing agent making phone calls, expires, and so forth, until when I had enough money to pay for marketing. By the way, believe me, I'm not gonna lie to you, I don't like to make phone calls either, but you do what you gotta do. So when I had to make the phone calls, I had to make the phone calls. I was very clear, at some point, I gotta make enough money to pay for the marketing because I'm sick of making phone calls. So at some point, got enough money to get into radio advertising. So then radio now brings me enough listing leads that feed me and my partner, and we just have to do a little bit of prospecting. Eventually, we're doing prospecting and marketing, so now I have to hire a listing agent. At the moment, I didn't realize the value of my team in the listing side. So I was giving away 50% of the commission on the listing side. It has evolved. What our realization last year is that, I have 3 amazing listing agents that should not be dealing with administrative stuff. They should be meeting with sellers, getting contracts, negotiating it, and that's it. Because if I can isolate everything else and bring that value to my listing agents, they're going to be able to take more listings and make more money. So what we have today is we've always had in the team a listing coordinator. We just added more tasks to her. So she is in charge of preparing the contract, the listing contract. So when the listing agent is going to the appointment, the listing contract is mostly about 85–90% fill out based on the MLS, and the listing agent takes it. So basically just to go over it, confirm that everything's accurate, and get the signature. Then when they come back with the listing contract, she is in charge of scheduling for the pictures with the seller and the photographer for the stager, get the sign, do all the marketing, set up mapping all the websites, and so forth. The listing agent doesn't have to do anything like that. Then I have an outside sales agent. So I have a person that only answers and makes phone calls. So she answers all the phone calls of the radio advertising, does all the pre-qualification of the seller, and sets an appointment for my listing agents. She also makes expired phone calls, for sale by owner phone calls, and circle prospecting phone calls, and sets appointments. And last month, I believe she set about 27 appointments for our listing agents. And then the listing agent confirms the appointment, and the listing agent takes the contract, goes, does the presentation, presents the CMA, signs the contract, comes back, and gives it to them. Once we get an offer, the listing agent jumps back into the picture with the negotiation. Once it's negotiated, it goes into the transaction coordinator, and that's it.
Okay, so I hear we've got an outside sales agent, which is an outbound sales agent, I should say, which is a type of an ISA or an inside sales agent. There's prospects, outbound leads.
Yes.
Okay, so that's your. So then once they set an appointment, the listing specialist shows up, does the presentation, takes the listings, maybe conducts price reduction talks, and then negotiates contracts. Your listing manager is your administrative arm that handles all of the listing side, all the way to contract.
Exactly. That's what we have.
Okay, and that's great. Quickly, so they all hear it, compensation for the listing specialist.
35% of the commission.
How many listings do you carry at any given time?
125.
125 active listings, that's a lot of 35%, so it's a volume game for them.
And let me tell you, two of my listing agents were very hesitant because they thought they were going to make less money. The one that has sold the most was maybe 6 listings in 1 month. The other one had sold like 8 or 9. This month, one of them has 16 contracts pending. 16.
Wow.
He wasn't able to even get more than 10 before because he was so caught up on everything else. So 50% of 7 versus 35% of 16 transactions, that's a lot of money. And I'm sure he's going to keep doing it because we're feeding them. What allow us, that 15% allow us to have an outbound person and put more tasks on the manager. Therefore, they don't even have to spend time prospecting. They literally walk in the office, get the appointment, go get it.
Right, as many as they can get. So very specialized. I love it. I love it. And I assume your administrative manager, that listing manager, that's more of an hourly salary position type of situation.
It is an hourly position, and I'm going to tell you, we pay her $17 an hour. That's the rate in Spokane, Washington. In Miami, that would be too much, according to the people here in Miami. So I don't know what would the rate be where you are, but that's the rate that we have in Spokane, Washington. And then there are W-2, which is very important. We pay all the taxes, and we give them 2 weeks vacation a year.
Gotcha. Excellent. When was the last time you went on a listing presentation, Claudia?
Many years ago.
Yeah. I was just curious. I didn't know the answer to that. Okay. And really quickly, let's talk about the buyer's agents on your team as well, too. I know you follow the model pretty darn close on that one, too. We discussed it. Your buyer's agents do really well.
They're awesome. Yes, they do very, very well.
Yeah, and you have a minimum standard for your buyer's agents, don't you?
Yes, they have to close minimum 2 a month. But the reality is most of them do 30, 35. Some of them, a couple that I have that are very senior with us, they do 40 transactions a year. When you just started with our team, we have an expectation of 15, not less than 15, because we know the systems and the tools and the training and the list that we give you. But by year number 2, you should be at least at, you have to be at 25 or more. And then on year number 3 is when we consider you a senior agent, and we expect you to be in the 33, 35 transactions a year.
Okay, and so you're just so we can start off with that, well, how do you compensate your buyer's agents?
If they get the lead, let's say they get the internet lead or the signed phone call, if they set the appointment and they convert the lead, they make 50% of the commission. I do have an ISA for the buyer side also. So she gets 85% of the leads and the phone calls. When she converts the appointment and she hands the appointment at the office to the agent makes 40%.
Okay, so they have some incentive there to try to hustle and convert those leads to appointments themselves. Got it. That's great. And you constantly track with them to ensure they're hitting their goals, right? You're always on top and make sure they're doing what they need to do to succeed.
Every day from the beginning, we've had an accountability meeting. So every Tuesday, we have a team meeting from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. And then we have a one-on-one with every single one of them. And the accountability meeting is exactly the same, has been exactly the same from the beginning, and they bring the same numbers. So do you want me to go over what numbers we ask them?
Sure. Yeah, that'd be great.
So they have to bring, every week, they have to know what total close volume to date, total pending to date, what their goal is for the year. Then we look at how much they've closed, and we calculate the difference between that and their goal. We look at how many more weeks we have left. We divide the gap between the weeks, so that tells us what is their new weekly goal. So we go through that first to get them the realization. Are you behind? Are you ahead? Or are you on track? And then, as a rule, the buyer's agent must have 5 A buyers at any given time. So I have a space there for tell me about your buyers, and I ask them, tell me the name, what is their price point, and then I go through all the buyers and I ask them, what challenges do you have? And the main question is, who are you going to put under contract this week? And they have to identify which one of those 5, if it's 1 or 2 or 3, they're going to put under contract. And we talk through it, we talk about it, when is your next meeting, when are you going to show them homes, how many homes have you showed them? And then from there, we go, okay, now that 3 are going to be under contract, how are you going to replace them for next week? And then see that I have all these B buyers that I'm kind of moving from B to A, or I'm going to have to get on prospecting. Okay, great. So how many hours are you going to prospect? I'm going to prospect 5 hours. Okay, great. Which days are you going to do it? And then we set it in the schedule as a commitment, because next week when I meet them, I'm expecting 3 people under contract and still 5 A buyers. So 3 should be new. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. So it's you doing everything you can to ensure they make the money that they need to make with their goals all the way through.
We have a 411 and a 135 for each one in our binder.
Excellent. Yeah, it sounds like exactly what an individual agent should do when they start off too, is be held accountable. That helps them put their business plan and track their numbers all the way through.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's not really that complicated.
No, we make it more complicated, you know? The challenge is most of us just want to have the easy ride. And the reality is if you work hard, if you make this your job, and you treat it like a job, and you show up at 8, and you work until the job is done, you will create a fantastic business with a fantastic life. But you gotta put the time in.
Yeah, you don't, and you are proof positive. You don't need to know anybody. You don't have to have a set source of business. You don't need to even speak the language. Yeah, you don't even need to know what state you're in. You just need to follow the tools, which is what I like so much. You're a phenomenal inspiration, Claudia. You really are, and it's always a pleasure. Anything else you want to throw at him today? Anything else before I sign you out of here? Because you've been great. You've been great.
You know, people ask me, how did you make it happen? How did you do it? Tell me the secret. And it amazes me because the secret is not a secret, number one. It is all written in a book that is read, that is called The Millionaire Real Estate Agent. I just happened to read it, and I read it like 10 times already, and it's still my Bible. And it's just do it. Just read it, implement. Read it, implement. Go through it, implement it. It hasn't changed. They're coming up with a revised version, but it's not really that different. Believe me, I've been in the mastermind trying to figure this out. So grab the book, read it, and implement one thing at a time. The first thing I did was to get a database together and get the 33 touch. I knew that from the beginning because I knew that was not going to give me results the next day. I started with 600 people. Today we have over 15,000 people. So just take the book, that's the recipe, that's the secret, and do it. If I can do it, everybody can do it. That's it.
Claudia, thanks so much. It's great to see you. Say hi to Richard. Say hi to Richard for me too.
I will. Thank you so much.
Okay. Bye-bye.